Hey there, Bruce, and welcome back to the Game of Fortune. I think, now that Teresa has joined us, we're all here, so it's finally time for us to move on to the next death game. How exciting. And Clive is still alive, so that's nice. Clive alive. Bam! And that's how you make an explosive entrance. Did you really have to kick the door open? Of course I did. I just told you I had to make an explosive entrance, didn't I? We're the survivors of the last game. We have to draw attention, make people wonder, what the hell did they just go through? I mean, look at all the eyes on us. Why, I feel like a model on the runway. Teresa struck a pose as if to draw even more eyes on her. Teresa and Alphonse had made it through, which meant between Laura and Lilith, only one of them had survived. Hey, where's that straggler? Don't tell me that she's still skulking about over her dead sister's body. Teresa walked back toward the door and leaned out toward the hall. Hey, sourpuss, quit taking so long, you're ruining the mood. Lilith walked in, head hung low, her hands loosely swaying by her side. It was less of a person and more of a shell, or maybe a doll. Buck up, Lilith, you're alive, aren't you? You made it through to the end in spite of everything. You should smile, everyone here is happy to see you. The least you can do is turn that frown upside down. Can you quit it with the fake sympathy? I'm not even sure I'd call it sympathy, it's like some mocking impression of it. Alphonse, I'm insulted you think I wouldn't care for Lilith's mental well-being. Look at her. At this rate, she'd be no better than the shell of a human being. No emotions, no thoughts, no desires, just a hunk of meat and bone, made to move by a bunch of chemical reactions. She'd essentially be a robot, and that'd be no good for anyone. I mean, there's no fun playing around with a robot like that. There you go again. You think you could just toy around with people's emotions and feelings like it means nothing to you. Alphonse suddenly lifted Teresa by the collar. Hey there, I'm all for rough play, but don't you think you're rushing things a bit? I tolerate it in the game because I thought you were just trying to survive. It was a horrible strategy, but I could tolerate it. But I see that you're just a sadistic black heart. Me? A sadistic black heart? That's cruel, Alphonse. Too cruel. I was just trying to survive, same as you. Same as her. It just happened. It just happened that things played out the way they did. And if you wanted to, you could have saved both of them, but you didn't. So before you start pointing fingers, start looking at yourself. You're right. I shouldn't be pointing fingers. I might as well just throw a punch. Wait. Let's not get hasty now. Everett, you mind giving me a hand here? Teresa winced as Alphonse reeled back a hand, but stopped as Everett walked over and put a hand on his shoulder. Surely this is something we can talk out, isn't it? Alphonse dropped Teresa and shoved Everett out of his way. He walked right over towards Maria in the kitchenette. And that's how you make an explosive entrance. Couldn't you feel the tension in the air? It was like he was actually going to punch me. I think he was. Teresa, if I hadn't stepped in when I did, he was going to punch you. And probably would have given you a black eye, a broken nose, and a busted lip. Emma, you really think you'd do that to a pretty face like mine? It's good that I've got such a chivalrous knight here to protect me. She leaned forward to kiss him, but Everett turned away and looked at Lilith. What happened with her? Yeah, that's what I want to know. William and a few others had walked over once the scene cleared. William snapped his fingers in front of her a few times, but it didn't seem to get any response out of her. It's like she's frozen. Is she going to be able to do anything? That's a good question. As of now, I think she's probably going through shock. Maybe she can understand the basics going on around her, but her mind is totally and utterly fried. Dare I even ask what happened to cause this? Oh, that's real easy. Let me paint the picture. Please don't. Our game was the hunt. One person started off as a designated wolf, and the rest of us were sheep. We were placed in a dark maze, barely any light. The only light we really had were the glowing lights that came from the collars that we had on our neck. And the sheep's collars glowed like a bright white, like a flashlight. And the wolf's was a dull red, like looming red eyes stalking you in the night. And if the wolf tagged your collar, well, you'd be the new wolf, and the previous wolf would become a sheep. Huh? But why would you want to not be a wolf? Sounds good to me. Simple, because at the end of the game, the wolf's collar would activate and burn them alive. What? Yep, so really want to hide away and avoid the wolf for as long as possible. And if you were the wolf, you'd want to hunt and find someone else to pawn off the role to. Well, I started off with the role, and boy, it was fun sniffing and searching around, but, well, it was too easy. The light made it real simple to find others. So I wanted to see how long I could terrify others, stalk them, find them, and then turn them loose. Then I promised if I caught them twice, I'd turn them into the wolf. Oh, now that's a ballsy move. But I would have done the same thing. I'm sure you would, Willie, but here's where it got real fun. There must have only been 5 minutes left, and I found Lilith all huddled away in the dark corner. And of course it was easy to catch her, but rather than just give her the wolf roll, I decided to use her as a hostage. A hostage? Held her against her will, you know, a hostage. Well, I called out for Laura and Alphonse to come over, show them I had Lilith, all nice and prepped to be the wolf. It'd be like fireworks. Once the game was over, we could all celebrate that we'd survive. But why? Why do that? Why not just tag Lilith and run? I told you it wouldn't be fun. I mean, Laura and Alphonse didn't seem to think it was all that fun either. But none of them stepped up to help Lilith. Well, they were more concerned for their own safety. After all, maybe I might have snapped at them if they got close. It just sounds like you were toying with them. Well, that's your perspective. But amazing things happen when you press on people's emotions. You see the depths of what they're willing to do for one another. Why, Laura suddenly found the courage to leap after her sister, hoping she'd be able to pull her away to safety. Even when Lilith begged and screamed at her to stop. Such a sisterly bond, wow. It was so inspiring, so beautiful, so amazing to see. It made me sick. So I just tagged Laura instead. And in that split second that I got her, boom, up in flames she goes. Like fireworks. And poor Lilith. Teresa shook her head and looked over to her. Well, she was just beside herself, screaming, crying. Well, I'm certain that she even tried to roll her sister along the ground to extinguish the flames, burning herself up in the process, but Bella's nothing if not thorough. Nothing but ashes and bones at the end of it all. Not even that cute green hat was around. And that's basically what happened. We left and had to sort of lead Lilith over here. But she hadn't spoken a word since. A real shame. I love going toe to toe with her. The lady's got a tongue as sharp as a dagger. What's wrong, Willie? You look scared. Scared? I'm not scared. You shouldn't be. I wouldn't harm a hair on that cute little face of yours. Not on purpose, but you know, accidents happen. She went and pinched William's cheek, which made him slap her hand away in annoyance. Ugh. William shivered for a moment, but then he shook himself as if to counteract his quivering body. Well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how the game ended, right? Because all we have to do is press onward. We've still got games to get through. That's the spirit, Willie. Don't call me Willie. Anyway, let's go and get the groups together again. Keisha did it last time, right? Where is she? What a shame. He used to love it when I toyed around with his face. I guess that's what happens when they grow up. Teresa, why would you indulge yourself like this? You'll have to be more specific. I indulge myself in a lot of things. Your sadistic tendencies, it's plain as day that you enjoyed tormenting those girls. I don't know, it seemed fun. That's all you have to say. Well, I could say more, but we're about to start a new game. Teresa, this is not a game. These actions carry over. All this pain you're inflicting is going to keep on stacking on and on. Do you not understand that much? I understand plenty. That's why I'm having so much fun. I just can't wait. Teresa left with a wink, and Elizabeth could only let out a heavy sigh and then inspected Lilith closely. I hope you don't suffer long, and that this is as bad as it'll ever be for you. And then she left to join the others near the doors. She's scary. You don't have to tell me twice. But what are we going to do with Lilith? I'm not really sure, but we'll figure it out. I hope she snaps out of it. But we must press on. Yeah, let's try our best. And so we pressed on, gathering with everyone near the 3 doors. Alright everyone, it's been a while, but everything's basically the same. 3 doors, so we need to split into 3 groups of 4. Since we lost Jade, Zeph, Richard and Laura, that's 4 of us that have lost their partners. The easy solution would be to group them all up together, but I want to hear what you'd all prefer before we get ahead of ourselves. So let's start with asking anyone that wants to go on particular doors. Perhaps I'm speaking out of turn, but should we default to allowing Lilith to have the last door? It's clear that she hasn't recovered from the shock of the last game. And it's not fair to press her into any room before she's ready. I think we were all assuming that. Gotcha. Just wanted to make sure we're all on the same page. On that note, I don't have a preference for groups or doors, so just pop me in wherever you need me. Alright, noted. I have one request. And what would that be? I refuse to be in the same game as Teresa. Oh, Miss Umbra Dre, I'm hurt. I thought we might be able to have a ton of fun together. Your idea of fun is nothing short of torture, so go enjoy yourself with someone else. I'm also going to go with Elizabeth, so that means I can't play with Teresa. Oh, Willie, don't tell me you're afraid of me too. You've seen me enough times to know I wouldn't hurt you if I could help it. Don't call me Willie, and I'm not afraid of you, I have to look out for Elizabeth, you know? She's my teacher, so it's my duty as her student to ensure her safety. Wow, what a charming student you've got there, so protective of you. The boy can be reliable at times. That's me, super reliable. Okay, so Elizabeth and William will be paired up and don't want to play with Teresa. I'm starting to feel lonely. Will anyone partner up with little old me? You want a partner? You can have one. Oh, Alphonse, you taking a shining to me? Sure, you could call it that. I guess it's more like a bullseye on a dartboard. Alphonse, are you sure you want to do that? I'll be fine. If anything, she should be worried about me. Is that a threat? It's whatever you make of it. Exciting. It's like I got someone hunting after me. Did you really care for that sheepish little woman so much? Do you want to play the hero to those dainty dames that can't defend themselves? If I knew that, I definitely would have just killed his sister instead. You have to learn to speak up. Alphonse's fist tightened up again, but Everett stepped in between the two. That's enough. Good grief. Why do you insist on making things difficult, Teresa? Me? I was just... Zip it. It's clear if you're not properly monitored, you'll have yourself a bloody field day. I'm coming with you, both for your safety and for our reputation. You're a real pain in the ass, you know that? You brought this upon yourself with your actions. So that'll mean Everett, Teresa and Alphonse will be in the same game together. That's a good opportunity to chat with each of them and get good information. So that's a group of 3. One group of 2. Anyone else got preferences? If I may, I want to join with Maria. Oh really? It's not a big deal, is it? Nope, not an issue at all. I like you, Clyde, so I'm happy to partner up with you. Though I think you want to go on the last tour with Lilith, if that's okay. I'm great at helping people, so maybe I can get her back with her old self. That's fine with me. Any objections? No one spoke up. So we have Maria, Clyde and Lilith going in door 3. Grant, Devon, you two haven't spoken up about what group you'd prefer. Grant and I look at one another nervously, each not wanting to speak up first. I want to weigh my options, and I imagine he wanted to as well. But eventually he spoke up. I'll join Elizabeth and William. As for the door, it doesn't matter that much to me. Elizabeth, William, do either of you have a preference? I'd prefer the second door, honestly. There are things I'd like to discuss with William before we proceed to our next game. What, we've been waiting long enough, don't you think? Patience, William. Remember what I said about patience? Fine, we'll go on the second door then. That would mean Teresa, Alphonse and Everett would get door 1. You 3 okay with that? The 3 of them nodded, seemingly okay with whatever door they got assigned. Okay, then that leaves you. All that leaves is you, Devon. Well, actually, it'd leave me, and you, but I don't. I see what you're doing. Giving me the option so that you can decide where you want to go yourself. But that's fine. I see what my options are. Option 1. Join Everett, Teresa and Alphonse in door 1. Wow, that would be entertaining if nothing else. This would be a great chance to get some information about them. See what they might want to wish for and in turn get info on Kishi, if I honor our deal. I imagine that's how you work towards Everett's ending, would be my guess. But Everett and Teresa are scary in their own right, and since it's the first door, there's a good chance someone's going to have to die. Then there's the next door. Join Elizabeth, William and Grant in door 2. Honestly, this seems kind of like the safe option. I bet I could win the game involving this group. The problem is it doesn't have do any good in honoring Kishi's deal, so she might not help us out later on. But survival comes before anything else, right? And there's no guarantee that Kishi will survive her game either. And that leaves us with the last option. Option 3, join Clyde, Maria and Lilith in door 3. I'll be with Clyde and Maria, 2 people I'm comfortable with, but there's also the chance I might have to kill one of them. Still, the odds are lower considering it's the last door. But there's also the situation where it's possible we'll be given a game we can't win. It's not likely, but it's possible. Either way, with Clyde and me both there, there'd be a good chance we might be able to coax out some information from Maria. At least I hope. So considering all that, why is that one grayed out? Is that grayed out because I can't pick it? Hang on, let me just check the flowchart real quick. It is. I can't pick that one. I wasn't going to anyway. I wanted to pick Alphonse, Everett and Teresa because that sounds like, you know, pretty explosive, entertaining. Let's do that. I joined the group going through door 1. I'm flattered to think you'd want to join me again, Devon. Don't take all the credit. Maybe she's interested in playing a fun game with me. I'm just interested in watching you fuckers tear each other apart. You sure you want to do this? Huh? You'll be going in the first door with the 3 of us. I ain't gonna be pulling any punches. I'm sure as hell these 2 won't be either. In fact, I bet money that if Teresa gets the chance that she'll torment you through the whole thing. Like dragging you across a field of nails. Ouch, that's a painful punishment if I ever heard of it. You don't have to worry, Devon. I wouldn't do something like that to you. I didn't believe it for a second, but obviously she wasn't trying very hard to convince me. She certainly won't, not while I'm here. You say that, but you can't guarantee to keep her in line. If it's a team game, you might not be allowed to control her. That's true, but in the event that we're competitors, I can at least lessen whatever blows she intends to deal. It's fine, I can handle whatever comes my way, I'm sure. Well, if you insist, just don't say I didn't warn you. Okay, so we got a full group for the first door. I think I'll join the last group. Maria, Clyde, and Lilith, if that's alright. It's fine with me. Maria? Yeah, it's fine if you tag along. Why did Maria seem to be in a bad mood all of a sudden? You know that, because she's in the Digits of Eden and she doesn't like them. Was it because I didn't join her earlier or because Kishi was joining her now? That one. Is it something else? Anyway, Philip, that means you'll be joining up with Elizabeth, Grant, and William. Noted. I'm completely fine with this arrangement. Seems we would be grouping together once again. So it would seem. You know, it wouldn't kill you to smile if I was within 5 feet of you. I'm not that bad now, am I? Ask yourself that question before you start asking me. The punishment just never ends. Well, William, this will be the first time that we've been in the game together. Yeah, you definitely look like someone I can stomp on easily. But hey, if we somehow end up on the same team, Grant, you'll be in good hands. Thanks, I guess. With the teams organised, there was only one thing left to do. I looked over at the first open door. Another game that I'd have to get through. Tough it out, Devon. You can do this. Sure, you might have broken down, but you got back up, didn't you? So just face the future head on. Well, shall we get going? Yeah. The 4 of us walked toward the door. But just before I crossed the threshold of the door, I looked back. You got this, Devon. I'll see you later. He looked so confident, so self-assured. As if he knew that I'd be fine on my own again. Well, I guess I did basically prove it to him. And he made it back on his own too, so... Yeah, this is fine. We can do this. We'll make it through these games and get the info we need to survive. And with that final piece of encouragement, I walked through the door and ignored the sound of it shutting firmly behind me. Same old waiting room. I was kind of hoping we'd get something different. Why would Belle put effort into changing the waiting room of all things? I don't know, it'd be fun. And speaking of fun, Teresa walked up to me and suddenly wrapped her arms around me into a hug. Hey, what are you doing? I'm so glad you decided to join us, Devon. She pulled away from me, but there was the biggest smile etched on her face. I was so worried it was gonna be a boring game. First there's Everett, he's just a stick in the mud. I mean, sure, he's big, long, and a thick stick in the mud, but still a stick all the same. And then there's Alphonse. I'm sure he hates my guts right now, but I don't think that he'd fall for any of my fun tricks. He's like a kid you can pull a fast one on once, and then he's on edge the rest of his life. Or worse, he spits in your face whenever you try to apologize and make things fair. But you're like a blank slate. We haven't played any games together, so you don't know a thing about me, and likewise I don't know much about you. We got a good chance to really get to know one another here. A deep connection, you know? We'll get along just great, I bet. Why is she being so forceful? It's creeping me out. Yeah, sure, whatever you say. Oh, don't be worried. Don't be scared. You can't have fun if you're worried about dying all the time. These games are fun, these are games first and foremost, after all. Lighten up, loosen up, enjoy them for what they are. She's got the right attitude. You should be going along to these games with excitement and vigor. Belle's face showed up on the television screen, and we all turned to her attention. Look at all of you, getting along like long-lost friends. We're not friends. More than friends. Wow, to proclaim it so boldly. You must really care for one another. Why are you like this? It's just a little light-hearted conversation to ease you into the next game, which I'm sure you're all excited for. I sure am. After that last one, well, I'm certain that you won't disappoint now. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I figured you of all people would have fun with it. And what about you two? Devon, Everett, did you enjoy your game? It was alright. What a bland non-committal answer. It's about as boring as a loaf of bread. It was an interesting game. The use of traits to give us strategies to survive made things more complex. Excellent answer. I'm so glad you understood the finer points of the game. Devon, why can't you give more detailed answers like Everett? Why do I feel like I'm being scolded by my mother? Well, anyway, should we get to the fun part? Let's begin the roulette again. We all watched the roulette shift through each of our 4 options. Last time I played a 4-player dilemma game, there were good chances for all of us to survive, but even that didn't keep Richard from dying. And now that we're at the first door, the game we play could be anything. Anything. Whatever showed up, I'd face it with my head held high. So bring it on, Belle. I can handle it. Oh shit. Looks like we'll be having a 3 versus 1 game. Let me guess, we're going to be the one. A team against a tyrant, a gang versus a guppy, a flock versus a... Well, you get the idea. And the teams? Yes, the teams are... I take it back, don't make me play a game like this alone. Especially not against these 3. They'll chew me up and spit me out. Please, please, put me with a group of 3. Everett, Alphonse, and Devon against Teresa. I let out a huge sigh and flopped onto one of the nearby couches. Relieved? More than you can imagine. Oh, I'm all alone again. About the idea of getting to play against all three of you, wow. That makes things more interesting, don't you think? I'm just glad I'll get a chance to kick your ass. Oh, I'd like to see you try. You literally had you by the throat a few minutes ago. Looks like you enjoyed the teams that you're on, so now we'll have to determine the game. Huh. What, why are you laughing? Well, I figured out something that'd be very fun. With you four, I think the best game to play would be Ultimate Gambling Survivors. Teresa seemed to perk up upon hearing the name and seemed to be bouncing on the tip of her toes in excitement. What kind of game is that? A fun game, of course. Wow, real descriptive. I think I've already got a good idea for what kind of game it'll be. I mean, it's got the word gambling right in it. Looks like it's my time to shine. Gambling? Now that you know the name of the game, it's time to prep for it. Teresa, please enter the door on the right. Everyone else, go through the door on the left. I'll see you all shortly. Good luck and good fortune. Teresa quickly walked over toward the exit, but gave us a quick wink before fully leaving. Guys, can I say something real quick? What's the matter? I'm not good at gambling. Well, most people aren't, so don't get down on yourself. No, I mean really don't like it. I can't gamble. You can't? What do you mean you can't? I just hate having a bet or play games where you put your money or positions on the line. I get nervous at the idea of just stepping into a casino. I mean, I don't mind watching gambling, but if I had to do it myself, I get really anxious. Especially when the stakes are high. Well, I suppose our lives being on the line doesn't help with that, huh? I know some people who have bad experiences gambling, lost too much money and then swore off it forever, but there are also people on the opposite end of the spectrum that become addicted to the thrill of it or feel like it's the only way out. What better way to recoup their losses from gambling but to gamble some more? It truly is a sad scene. What caused you to not like gambling? Is it a particular game or just one bad experience? Well, honestly, it's kind of embarrassing and not actually like some huge life-shattering event. But when I was younger, I got a bunch of money on my birthday. One of my uncles basically coaxed me into playing games with him. Stuff like poker, liar's dice, things like that. I thought we were just playing for fun, but then he started having me bet the actual money. And eventually he managed to get me to lose everything I had. What a complete and utter asshole. Who goes and cons their own family like that? That's a typical addict's reaction. They'll resort to stealing from friends and family. Anyway, the point is, after that, I just always felt on edge whenever someone asked me to gamble with them. I just remember that horrible feeling of losing everything I had, and it would make me feel sick. I don't want to make you do something that makes you feel ill, but our lives are on the line here. You might have to gamble in some capacity to survive. I know. Doesn't mean I have to love it. Before we start making assumptions, let's get into the game room and see what we're actually going to have to do. Alright. We all left the waiting room and opened the door that led into the game room. And of course, it was just as bad as I expected. It was just a big-ass casino. I felt my skin crawl just looking at the flashing lights, the obnoxious noises coming from the slot machines, and the ambient music pulsing through the air. Ugh, it's just as bad as I remember it. Still can't stand the way these places feel. Looks to me like your typical casino. Yeah, nothing particularly spectacular about it. Though I am left to wonder where Belle and Teresa are. Missed me already? Oh, I knew I could get you to like me, Everett. We turned to see Teresa and Belle walking out of another door nearby. How do you like the venue? Real classy atmosphere, don't you think? I wouldn't say that. Oh, well, if you don't like the decor, you have to blame Belle. She's the one in charge of the setup. Pinning the blame on me so soon? Oh, how cold-hearted can you be? So we're going to be gambling for this game or what? You will. I've already filled in Teresa on the details of the games and helped her get some things prepared. But now that you're all here, we can get started in earnest. So listen closely to the rules of Ultimate Gambling Survivors. Ultimate Gambling Survivors is a game of high-stakes gambling. The three of you will play games of your choosing to earn enough credits to win. The house will be played by Teresa and will be your opponent in whatever game you end up choosing. You have an hour to earn enough credits. If you fail to make enough credits by the end of the allotted playtime, or you run out of credits, you'll be executed. Should you manage to make enough credits, however, then the house loses and Teresa will be executed. Those are the general rules. Is everything clear so far? Easy enough to follow so far? Yeah, I get it. I simply nodded, but the truth was I was hoping that I wouldn't have to be involved with this game at all. Good, so let's move on to some of the specifics. For starters, your timer will only go down when a game is actively being played. Though I will issue penalties if I suspect you're trying to delay the game by not playing. Not that I expected you'd want to waste time, but I have my precautions. Next, you're free to choose from a variety of games. Board games, card games, dice games, but if you want to play any game that's not typically known, you'll have to run it by me for approval first. In any case, both the house and the players must agree to the rules of any game they play. The player gets to decide what games to play, but the house may also offer games if the player doesn't have anything in mind. And unless the games are incredibly imbalanced or unfair, the house must accept the games that are proposed to them by the players. And that just about does it for the basic rules of how things will play out. Naturally, however, there are a few more technical details that we should go over, so I implore you to pay attention. First is a matter of credits. Devon, Everett and Alphonse will each start with 111 credits. Your goal is to have collected a total of 1,000 credits by the end of the hour. That's a strange number to start with. Collectively it adds up to 333, which is about a third of our way to the goal. Correct. However, there is something you should note. While your total credits are collective, the amount you each have personally cannot be traded. For example, Devon cannot give 50 of her credits to Alphonse for any reason. But why, aren't we a team? Shouldn't we be able to trade credits around? Shouldn't we? Because it's no fun if you just pile your efforts into one person. This is to give everyone a fair chance of being able to play. There goes that strategy. Next is a matter of play and sportsmanship. Whenever someone is playing a game, you're not allowed to interfere with the match. You cannot give hints, advice, distractions, or decide to flip a table if things aren't looking good. If I find that you're interfering with the game, I'll set your credit count to 0 immediately and kill you right there and then. I shivered at the severity of the punishment. She really didn't want anyone getting in the way of the games. So we can't talk or do anything at all like that when a game's being played? Well, you can certainly talk amongst yourselves, even react to how the game is going. But if I suspect you're trying to pass off information with coded words, phrases, or even eye shifts, then I won't hesitate to act. Be a respectful spectator. Alright, I can do that much. Great. And if you got all that, there's only one issue left I need to go over. The issue of cheating. I like to think you all play games fairly, but this is a rule put in place, just in case I'm wrong about that. In the event that a player cheats, they'll lose half of their current credits, as well as any credits that they wagered. Well, at least that's better than instant death. Indeed, in the event that the house cheats, well, the player will be granted a free request. A what? A free request. Think of it like asking the referee for a penalty shot. You will request some changes to the rules, ask for a redo with different conditions, run it by me. I'll see if I can make it happen. Sounds to me like a general punishment that allows us to rig the game in our favour if we spot Teresa cheating. Me cheating a game? Please. I make my money off fair and calculated gambles. I don't need to cheat. Guess we'll find out. Oh, and lastly, if you end up accusing one side and you can't provide evidence, then you're hit with the appropriate penalty. So be sure you're on the right track if you go about accusing. Sure, whatever you say. Crystal clear. Excellent, that just about does it for the rules. Any lingering questions before we get started? I got one. You aren't on anyone's side, are you? Side? What do you mean by that? You said earlier you helped Teresa get some things prepared, and that you filled her in on the rules earlier than the rest of us. Sounds to me like she could ask you to rig a game or install some kind of cheating device into one of the tables or something. Ain't that just clear favoritism? For her rather than us? Alphonse, I'm offended you'd think such a thing, but it is a fair concern all the same, so allow me to explain what I did for Teresa. I explained the rules as I did for you. Nothing was added or excluded for her. You both received the same rundown. After that, I provided her equipment and supplies for the games that I expect to be played. Can you clarify the equipment and supplies? Sure, for starters there's some standard playing cards, some dice, some boxes, some board games, various card games, even a neat little machine she requested. A machine? This machine isn't going to be involved in any of our games, is it? I doubt it. It seemed a special machine that Teresa had in mind for a game, but who's to say if anyone will play it? And the other materials? They're all completely fair and not tampered with? Normal playing cards without any markings, dice that aren't loaded, things like that. I gave Teresa everything she asked for. But if you suspect that she's asked for materials or equipment that cheats for her, well, all you have to do is call her out on it. Or just don't play the game that you think has messed up equipment. Well, it seems fair to me. That seems fair to me. Alphonse glared at Teresa, who just winked back at him. If you think I'm cheating, all you have to do is show me proof. Nothing too hard now, was it? Alphonse turned his eyes toward the table and began to inspect it. Oh wow, is he really going to inspect the table? After about a minute of checking the table, pressing around it, going behind it, even feeling for odd spots or grooves on it, Alphonse eventually walked back to us and nodded his head. Looks to be a normal table. Only thing that is there are some shelves on Teresa's side to hold things. But I didn't feel anything odd there, no obvious compartments to hold hidden materials. Seems that it's really just a table. Sometimes a table's just a table. Still, there's one thing left I want to check. Alphonse turned to Teresa. Stick out your arms. We're doing body checks now, Alphonse? You really don't trust me at all, do you? I wouldn't trust you to pour piss out of a boot if the instructions are on the heel. Seems my reputation is at an all-time low. Well, maybe my notoriety is at an all-time high. Either way, I'll play along. Alphonse tapped around Teresa's arms, hands, legs, and other parts of her clothes. Don't be shy, Alphonse. You could be a bit more thorough than that, don't you think? Feel free to touch all over. For the sake of keeping this game PG-13, I assure that Teresa doesn't currently have any cards, dice, or other playing materials on her person. Good. Now that we've got that out of the way, are we ready to play? There were no more questions, and with glee, Belle clapped her hands, and a large timer slowly descended from the ceiling. And with that, we're going to wrap this one up here because we're out of time for today. So in the next one, we're going to be diving into the Ultimate Gambling Survivor. Now that we know the rules. Exciting stuff. I went with the most dangerous team, but I think it's going to be spectacular, if nothing else. Anyway, thanks for watching, Bruce. I'll see you in the next one.